So what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the AFC podcast. I'm your host once again, Phil Capadora, founder of the Astoria Filmmakers Club, and thank you for tuning in. Very special podcast coming at you today. We have a group session of the cast of Army Men. This is an independent film that was shot last year, directed by Astoria native Paul Lewis. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's
Astoria native. That sounds great. I love it.
Well, I'm sort of a transplant. I was born in Brooklyn, moved to Astoria, tried to make a living, develop a life, and next thing you know, you run a nonprofit.
Well, yeah, we should all be so lucky. I've been in Miami for 34 years now, but my heart's still in Astoria.
I could relate. You know, that's a place where I really called home. You know, that just to be a part of it. It's been a privilege.
It's a great town. It's a great town. It's it's quite different now. I mean, it's very artsy now. When I was a kid, it was like the movie Goodfellas, pretty much. You know, it was like that, like the surroundings were that. Elizabeth, you know, you're in New York. Oh, is Elizabeth's not even here yet? Oh, there she is.
Yeah, I'm here. I know.
Well,
my aunt and uncle used to live there, and so we'd go visit them all the time.
So Elizabeth,
Astoria, yeah.
Are you originally from Astoria yourself?
Oh, no. I was born in Brooklyn, but I was raised in Florida.
Florida State.
No, I was raised in Miami, Florida. Yeah.
Got it. All right, Miami, Florida. There's a Florida in upstate New York where I grew up, so it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I moved back to New York to study acting, and I lived there for like 10 years when I was younger, and then LA, all that stuff, you know. And
Philip,
then
can I introduce the cast members to you here?
Absolutely, please.
Your lovely audience.
Yeah, Paul. You know
the lovely lady that was just talking. This is Elizabeth D'Onofrio. She plays Angela in our film. And then Sam, you want to take over? Maybe each of you start taking over. I think that way the visual will be on your face.
Sure. All right. Hi, my name is Sam McCulley. Let's see. I'm 15 years old, about to be 16 next month. I don't really know what else to say.
There's very little else.
Well, you're adorable.
Thanks.
It's like, yeah, high school's great, you know.
Pretty much. I know. I'm starting to look at colleges.
You know, it's interesting. I honestly never knew that you were 15 because I cast you to play a 17-year-old in the film. Yeah. And this is the first time I'm finding out that you're 15. Wow. That's pretty
People
cool.
say I look a lot older than I actually am.
Yeah.
You look like you shave. Yeah.
You're definitely an old soul.
Yeah, you're more mature.
Oh, thanks.
Just say, yeah. I teach 15-year-olds, and you are much more mature.
Who's
Hi,
that handsome guy
Douglas.
there? Mr. Boucher.
Hello. My name's Douglas Boucher. I played PJ in the film. I'm actually 22 right now.
Right.
So bit older than my character, but it's okay.
So we had a 15-year-old and a
face.
22-year-old both. We had a 15-year-old and a 22-year-old both playing 17-year-olds.
Hey, honestly, the chemistry in the camera, guys, no question. You guys look 17, you know?
Yeah.
Honestly, I've seen a lot of films.
And I'm Justin Sims. I played the older Mikey, and I'm 42 years young.
Awesome. Well, you might as well
And
know.
actually, your character in the film is about 39, so it's right around that ballpark there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but what's a couple of years, right? Like, I mean,
We're all around the age.
little makeup, a haircut, shave, you're fine. So I guess we'll take it right from the top. I guess one of the main topics of discussion is going to be this independent film, Army Men. I guess we'll start with the creator, Paul. Is this your movie? You wrote it, directed, all that?
Yeah, that's correct. So this film, about 4 years ago, I started writing a full-length feature screenplay based on a story about my friendship with a young man named Pete Rocca. And I met Pete when I was a little boy in Astoria, and we became the best of friends. and he was very talented. He was a musical prodigy. In the film, our character plays the piano, but in real life, he played the bass guitar, and he taught me how to play. And we were going to be the next Lennon and McCartney. In fact, in high school, we wrote a musical version of The Princess Bride that was produced in Flushing Theater in the Park.
You got to be kidding.
Yeah. It was actually a school assignment. I went to a very artsy school, middle college high school in Long Island City. It was an alternative high school. And they gave us an opportunity. Our project was to read Princess Bride and then to write a play based on it, because we couldn't get the rights. So we called it Cupcake's Revenge. And and so the story was loosely based on that, and was all original songs written by me. And Pete helped me quite a bit with the arrangements, and Pete was troubled. He came from a troubled family, and this was like in the 70s. We didn't talk about mental health back then. It was very taboo. When you would see people obviously suffering from mental health issues, like on the subway. In the 70s, when you're a kid in New York, it's like, oh, that guy's crazy, and now we know more. And so basically we didn't communicate back then, and there was nobody there to help him deal with his mental illness. And I believe he suffered from bipolar disorder. I'm not a doctor, but he definitely had all the signs. So at age 19, he took his own life. And so the film is based on that. It's based on friendship, loss, regret, and the baggage that we carry sometimes when we're dealt with a tragedy like that. We go for years thinking maybe that it's our fault or that we could have changed it, and then in the end you realize you can't. That's just how it was. So yeah. Boy, that was a real bummer of a analysis of the film. But
No, I mean, I watched it twice, and I did cry, and I had to watch it twice because I thought I missed something, but no, I didn't. And all around, and as far as like mental health, I totally can connect with that, understanding the home life and then the balance of friendship. Depending on that for your own future, especially when I think it was I want to, it wasn't Mike, it was Douglas's character. He was so right. He was so dependent on that freedom with the talent he knew he had for a future that he didn't believe he could achieve without the help of his best friend, I guess, Mikey. Yeah.
Yes, you hit the nail on the head with that. I mean,
I get it. I guess I do. I get it. And it's such a tragedy. And this is based on a true story. He was there in Astoria, Queens.
Yes, that's correct. And what I was trying to say earlier is I had written a full-length feature of this, and I've been sitting on it for 4 years. I did about 1 million different drafts of it, and finally I had something that I really loved. But you get tired of waiting around for someone to hand you $20 million and say, hey, make this film, or $100 million, make this film. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to make this film. Originally I was going to make a mock trailer to try to shop it around to investors and producers to see if we can get the funding to make the full feature. Right. But then as I started writing it, in fact, when I hired these guys, it was going to be a mock trailer. But I then sat down and I dissected the full-length feature script into a 40-minute short film.
Yeah.
And I went on Indiegogo. I raised $7,000, and we shot the whole thing in 7 days. Believe it or not, in 2 states, in Florida and in New York City.
The last time, there was a film that we actually did for $7,000, but it was just a short film, proof of concept. But like 90% of the money just went to the food, the rest of us like we're there volunteering. And that was an 11-day shoot though.
Yeah, we spared no expenses. We had pizza, right, guys? Pizza and Burger King.
We had pizza every single day. We had the bagels across the street, and it adds up so quick. And I commend you because I really like the cinematography, just the action sequences, the bits and the pieces. Like, you hit the nail on the head. I really enjoyed the story, man.
Thank you. The great thing about this film is that the fact that the topic was resonated with so many people, and I have a lot of really great friends and family. I got a lot of people donating their services to this film or working for practically nothing. So yeah, I say 7,000, but believe me, if we would have paid, what people are normally getting paid, it would have been really up there. It wouldn't have been 7,000. Trust me. So I was very blessed in that regard. What was I saying? Did I digress a bit? I don't remember. I'm old, guys. Forgive me.
Just talking about the process. It went from a feature now down to a short.
It went to the short and started submitting it to film festivals. It's been accepted into about 5 festivals, I think, today, and I'm still waiting to hear from about 30. And we've had a lot of rejections too. It was just screened this past Monday at the TCL Chinese Theaters on Hollywood Boulevard.
Let's go.
Silicon Beach Film Festival. Yeah. And I'm told, I wasn't there, but I was told that it looked absolutely beautiful on the big screen. And tears were shed throughout the theater. So that's nice to hear.
Must have been good acting, right?
Well, let me tell you before, I'm going to let these guys, because I'm talking too much, but I want these guys to talk. But I have to tell you that when I cast the 4 of them, it was really, really, authenticity was very important to me. I don't like over-the-top acting. I don't like theater acting for films. Not that these guys did that, but it was important that I get the authenticity of New York and the accents and the acting with your eyes and acting for the small frame. And these 4 guys delivered, man. They delivered it. And we worked together individually via Zoom, just like this, on scenes. And man, it didn't take a lot of direction on my part. These guys were just sponges, and they knew what I wanted, and they delivered the goods. So I was really blessed to have the 4 of them. And they look great too. They look so perfect for the roles. They really do. I mean, Justin's character is based on me at age 39, and look how handsome he is, and look at my mug. So, you see, I purposely hired a handsome guy to play me. But,
Did you have to read Michael Caine's book on acting for the camera when it comes to eyes and techniques and subtlety?
I never read that, no, but I was taught that. I'm a theater actor. My background is musical theater, and I've done some television as well. But all of that TV and film happened when I moved to Florida, believe it or not, when we were actually filming a lot of projects when I first moved down here 30-something years ago. I think that's when the producers had incentives for productions here, which they don't have anymore. But there were a lot of productions being filmed down here. So I did work a lot. And that's when I learned to act for the camera. And I was actually taught that by a casting director, Lori Wyman. Elizabeth, you know Lori Wyman. She was great. I took her class, and she actually helped cast this film. She helped me find Elizabeth. She's a fantastic casting director, and she's the one who taught me how to act for the camera.
I took classes from her too. Yeah.
Correct.
Why don't we piggyback off that, Elizabeth? You mentioned you pursued acting when you were a little bit younger. Was this just reintroduced you to come back, or what were you doing, and how'd you get to this point?
As far as I'm concerned, I always had like a big toe in it because I've been ever since like young child doing plays and things like that, and then moving to New York and studying with some of our greats, back then in the 80s, and just learning, a technique and everything and using it. And it just got kind of a little rough when I found myself a single mother, and it was hard to do anything but keep a roof over our heads. So, but I got opportunities from friends and family that, he could come with me, which was great, but it was few and far between. So, no, I retired now. I get my retirement, so it really doesn't matter how much money I make anymore because I get my Social Security. So, and now I can just do whatever I want.
And what was it like playing Angela?
It was great. When I first read that screenplay, I cried so hard. I was just like, yes, I want you. It Um, I had a lot to work with in my life for Douglas's character, Pete, you know, and even to see him alive. Hi, Douglas. It's great.
Hi.
I did, I mean, I knew what he looked like, but his face is very familiar to faces I've been around. So it was very easy to feel what he was going through and not being able to do anything about it and not doing anything about it.
You guys totally look like you could be mother and son too.
Yeah.
Seriously, you really do.
Yeah.
Great
Well, my
cast.
son is part Turkish, so he doesn't have our nose. But
Yeah.
Should we get heritage out of the way now? The conversation, everybody, like born in America, all that stuff.
yeah, born in New York, of Italian descent, both sides. That's
Yeah,
me.
born in Queens, New York, raised in Astoria. I'm actually Puerto Rican, Cuban, and Polish. My father is Puerto Rican. My mother is Cuban and Polish. Lewis is my middle name. So when I go on castings, I get a lot of people think I'm Jewish, but I'm not.
Oh my goodness. I guess we'll go right to Douglas because he's not the Turkish guy in the room.
I'm not.
Yeah.
So as far as like, why don't we talk a little bit about you, Doug? Like, what's your background? You're 22 years old. Did you take any acting in high school? Now in college?
Yeah, so I've been acting since third grade, fourth grade. Yeah, so pretty young, about 8 years old. Mainly it was just school, my school products, school productions and stuff like that. I did it for college a little bit. I've done some community theater down here in Miami. I've lived in Miami my entire 22 years of living. I am part Cuban, part Canadian, so there's that. But yeah, acting's been a thing. It's been in my life for most of my life. Yeah, ever since I can remember doing anything, it was trying to act or be an actor.
Was Army Men like one of your first short films?
Yeah, it's one of my first like acting gigs in a sense. I did take a break from acting for a little bit. I was going to college for it down here before COVID happened, and then COVID hit and it wasn't the same doing acting classes like this.
Right.
So I ended up just taking a pause on it, and then Paul actually reached out to my mom on Facebook because I think he saw my old junior year backstage account.
I did. I just interject here? I was on. I went on backstage to find the actors, all except for Elizabeth. And I came across, and also Justin was recommended by a brilliant actor, Todd Allen Durkin recommended him. But for the boys, I went on backstage, put an ad out, and I also searched headshots, and I typed in physical traits and whatever, and I saw Douglas's picture, and I swiped it. I said, nah, he looks too Caucasian, his hair's too short, he looks blonde, But I kept coming back to him after seeing other people. I just kept coming back to him, and I don't know what it was. And I went on, did some research, and I went on Facebook, and I found his mother's Facebook page with photos of the family now.
Mm-hmm.
And he had long hair, and it was darker, and he just looked more he could pass for Italian, or and I said, okay, I'm going to reach out to this guy because I think there's something happening there. And sure enough, perfect cast.
It was a funny interaction because I remember my mom, she had texted me like a screenshot of the message she sent, and she went, "What is this?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know. Like, let me look into it." And she's like, "Is this a scam? What is this?" And no, and then I looked into it.
Yeah, the old movie film casting scam.
Yeah,
boy.
I don't know. But yeah, it was good, and it turned out really well, and it was a really great opportunity for me. I really enjoyed it.
Did a great job.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
man. No, congratulations. I definitely don't want to give anything away for anybody listening other than to check out the trailer on YouTube if you haven't seen it already. And you could definitely see it at the Triborough Film Festival, God willing, at the end of January. So that's going to be that's going to be one emotional roller coaster once again for me. But man, this film is standing out amongst amongst all the submissions so far. It's a contender, no doubt, and just hope the judges feel the exact same way I do. And I'll be like, that's about it, putting it in their hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I want, I guess, circle over to Justin, because I mean, Justin was the lead in this film, right? Like this is a story about a guy who's coming back home, and is this more like a story about it's in the present. I don't want to say it's more of a flashback, but a lot of memories are coming to the surface.
It's kind of in the present. It actually it's 2003. Justin's character is in 2003. Like I said, it's based on a true story where I kind of got communication with my friend's mother after being away from her for so many years because I just couldn't deal with his loss.
Sure.
And it's a little different because in the film he visits her in person, but in real life we wrote letters back and forth, and I found out stuff that way. But I don't mean to take your spotlight away from you, Justin. Go ahead.
Oh, you're good. So I grew up with an amazing director, acting teacher as a father here in West Palm Beach. Then when I was 18, I moved to New York City and went to a conservatory, graduated, did a bunch of off-Broadway and film work, and then left it alone. I convinced UFC Fight Pass 4 years ago that I was a cameraman, so they hired me. So for the last 4 years, I've been traveling, filming people fight. It's been really the best acting performance of my life because I still don't know what I'm doing. No, but this was I heard somebody say a long time ago that you either do something for who you're doing it with or for what it is or for what you're making, and this was for what it was for this message, and it's turned into who it was with as well. But there's a lot of parallels with this film in my life. So I had to do it because I didn't want to do it, So I don't want to give too much of the film away, but I went through exactly what my character goes through in this movie. I had to go to my best friend's mom's house and have that conversation. So it was like revisiting a recently very difficult issue, which is therapeutic, which is why we're some of the most alive people in the world, actors, is because we can go back in the past and we all carry these trash bags of experience and emotion with us. But as actors, we can put those bags down and pull them out and recycle them, and that's what this film was for me. I don't know. Yeah, it was. And because
I would say, like, I had to often tell them, the younger kids, in acting, sometimes you have to go to these places that you really don't want to go to get the best performance, and those are painful moments, but we do it because we love what we do. And it just transcends on screen. So,
yeah, I mean, it's, I didn't want to, sometimes I've cried in a bunch of movies, and I've killed myself in movies and died in movies, and this is one of the best movies. I've been in a lot of bad movies. This is one of the best movies I think I've been in, and but this one struck a different nerve because I have experienced what my characters experienced on a couple different levels. One, going to my best friend's mother's house, and then I had another friend that made a permanent choice, in his mother's house a couple years ago. So, and I have not gone and visited her. So that I kind of played with those two feelings because I don't know when I'm going to go see her, in real life, just because there's just this really kind of dark vacuum. So in a sense, I could visit her, through this,
Mhm.
Wow. So I guess that leaves Sam, uh, what was it like for you, buddy? Like, I guess, why don't you tell us a little bit, like, where you're
Sam,
from?
talk about something happy before we all
Yeah,
cry.
like
Oh, okay.
Think
All
for
right,
you got
us.
the
this is my
joke, you
job.
got the Joker's smile before he became a bad guy. All right, so let's.
But that's what I normally do. So this for me was really different. I've never done film before. I've only done musical theater. I've been doing that since I was 8, like Douglas. And actually, Paul was saying earlier how he didn't want like any theater acting in the movie, and I got called out a lot for that. He said, "Don't do Disney eyes," like constantly. Like I was constantly using my eyes for everything I did, but like
Uh,
big.
yeah.
But this was really fun, a great experience. Paul, he wasn't only like a director to me, he's more like he was the director, but he also mentored me throughout the whole thing, like showing me what to do and showing me what to do after this ends and like how I can use like the techniques for film acting aside from theater. So this was also like not even like, well, there's a confidence booster. I'll definitely say that.
So all right. So what musical did you do before this movie?
Oh, before this movie, the last one I was in, that was a while ago. I think the one right before this movie was Les Mis. I would play Marius.
You did Marius and Les Mis?
I was Marius in Les Mis. That was really fun.
Are you a baritone?
I'm a tenor.
Oh, you're a tenor.
Classically trained. I do like opera, musical theater, all the fun stuff.
Oh, damn.
I
I
know.
played football when I was a kid. Like, I got to do this very late in the game.
When I write
I
the
don't know.
musical version of Army Men, Sam's going to be the first person I call.
Oh no!
I think both of
You
these
laugh, but I've thought about it.
No,
There's no way.
both of
I have no voice.
film career. I think both of these young actors, these young gentlemen, should pursue film careers. I think.
Yes,
I'm
do.
surprised
Absolutely.
to hear you guys
That's
have
my
not been
dream.
involved.
Now, it's my understanding, I spoke to Douglas's mother. She sent me a message after he made this film saying that it kind of like stirred something in him. And his passion has kind of come back for acting. I don't know how true that is. That's what your mom tells me. But I hope you are doing something because you've got the look, you've got the talent, it's the best time in your life to just start pursuing it.
It was an eye-opener doing this again and actually getting like a real world feel for the environment and how things are and especially it really did kind of reignite because after I had stopped for a little bit, it kind of became, a second thought to me, acting and pursuing this. And after doing this film, I was like, man, I would love to do this more. I would love to have fun and create, entertainment and tell stories for other people and all this stuff. And I would love to say that I am currently doing something right now, but I'm not, and I haven't really done anything since this. I had an injury literally right after we finished filming, and I broke my ankle, so I wasn't able to walk for like 5 months. So I've been a little out of commission for a little bit, but it's definitely something I've thought about doing and picking up here and there.
Well, do you have any plans maybe to train at a conservatory or a specialist acting school of some kind?
Not at the moment, no. But it is a possibility in the future. Definitely.
Sure. I think you did drama very well, and you just let the dialogue and you just work with the scenes very well. I saw you didn't push anything. And even with your brother in the room, just literally the subtleties of all that, I think it came very natural in the scene.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, this is one of my first really dramatic pieces that I've done. I'm normally the funny ha ha hee ha guy whenever I do anything acting. So to do something like this it was really different, and I'm glad it worked.
Well, you have both. You have both. You have
Yeah.
because you have the fun big guy, but you're
Mhm.
also very vulnerable.
Hmm.
You have, you have a lot of unteachable things, man. You really should.
Thank you. Well,
But
it's
what I can say
planned.
about these guys, these young guys, they were so respectful, and so they were just real troopers. And Douglas, poor Douglas, he's a big guy. He had to do this scene in a very, very small attic for about.
Yeah.
We filmed this thing for about 6 hours or something.
Yeah.
And it was a very intense scene. I think, I just felt he was sweating, but he never complained. He never complained. He just, he just did his job, and he was. I couldn't have asked for a better cast. I keep saying that over and over again because it's true. So, yeah.
Well, how many was in the cast overall? Because I saw like there was like a handful of kids.
So there was, oh gosh. 4, 1, 2, 3.
Shout out to those kids.
I want to say about, the kids were great. I want to say about 16,
cow.
a cast of 16. But yeah, shout out to the little kids who played, Mikey and PJ at age 10. And their gang in New York, their friends, buddies, and also the adults, the parents of little Mikey. That was Matt Shizever. I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right. He played Mikey's father. My sister-in-law, Sandra Muller, she never acted in her life. She played Mikey's mother. She was brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, she never acted before, but she was the character in real life. So except. He's really sweet.
I really thought that was a well-placed steal because those guys, there was nothing like cliche about those characters, but it just rang so true to me, just the way they spoke to each other and how, like, even the breaking my chops moment and being like that around a kid, that made perfect sense for me, where it's like, yeah, we're setting up the atmosphere and this is the kid we produced. Watch his story. That was a nice touch.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, that was also at a time where like kids should be seen and not heard, those days too. So like, we had a lot of that in our family as well. So, but then you have somebody like the father who really embraces his child's talent, his talent for writing and being, really smart and creative, and he embraces that and encourages that, so, and PJ's character he didn't have that. He didn't have that, like, everything that he put out there just came through him, and he didn't have the feedback until he met Mikey, who supported and backed up his talent and gave him a vehicle to bring his talent out there to the world, So
even at a young age, they were collaborating.
I mean, that's what we did when we were kids. We would write songs, goofy little songs. I came across an old audio cassette tape of me and the character based on PJ, Pete, jamming in his attic when we were like 14 years old, just like writing these really funny songs, and some were really good songs. So, yeah.
Oh man, like this is it's not a complicated, it's not that complicated for me, but when what I hate was when I do a show where the world has not seen, where we could actually really do a deep dive on these shows just to kind of beat around the bush without giving too much away. The fact that you did it in Astoria, Queens, where I got to see it through the light, through so technically, what was that, like the late 70s? Going into like
so the shots that we did in Astoria, Queens with the little boys was supposed to be 1974, I believe, or 75. So like the 70s, and we actually shot it in my old neighborhood. So the building that little Mikey runs out of, that's the actual apartment building that I lived in, and I wanted to film there so badly, and I knocked on the present owner's door. I said, "Can we please film something here?" And he said, "I'll tell you what, I'll let you film something, but you got to give me a part in the movie." Turns out he is an aspiring actor. And just by coincidence, so the scene where the guy's yelling at the kids on the stoop, "Get off my stoop," that's him.
That's a guy.
Yeah, but it worked so beautifully. Everything was just so organic. So we had that, and then these two old ladies who we filmed some other scenes on their stoop were so kind. They lived across the street, and the kids had no place to change. Like, again, it was just very guerrilla filmmaking, on a shoestring budget. I rented a van with all the costumes, and I was going to tell the kids to change in there. And the ladies are like, "No, you come in my house and you could change in the bathroom." So like all the little boys were in there, and the parents were there, and they were just great, So of course they have credit in the film now, and then
Oh my gosh!
But that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
the film and the purpose of the film just resonated with everybody, and people were more than willing to come to the aid and help with this production. And I think that's, when a project is that special, people will reach out and they will help, You got to take risks when you're making films, man. You really do. You just have to, put it out there and take risks, even if you fall flat on your face, and stop wondering what if, just try, because 9 out of 10 times it's going to go your way, So I encourage all filmmakers to do that.
If you're going to do it, obviously do it in Astoria, because the community spirit and the ethos of this community is like no other. When I first came to Astoria in 2014, I was couch surfing for the following 2 years. It was nuts. But we'll talk about that probably in the future if ever we work together. So I read an article where in 2015, it was like the #1 tourist attraction in the city of New York. I think some people made it up, but it really seemed to become true when in a similar article, something came out about Astoria, where it's actually the safest community in all of the 5 boroughs to actually to live. And I think that is definitely true compared to most neighborhoods. And I believe that to be true because of how well everybody treats one another in Astoria. It is a family atmosphere, in a manner of speaking. That was my experience on it.
Yeah. We saw a big change, I would say, like from the 70s to the 80s, like that turning point into the new decade. That's when things started getting a little bit crazy. You had the innocence of the 70s and the 60s and that whole, Ozzie and Harriet kind of thing, blue collar families. And then you started having like, the punk era and the it just started getting just nuts, and then it got very diverse. And now it is what it is today. Very diverse artistic community. I love going there. I love going there and just seeing the change, and I embrace the change, but I also smirk at the fact that it wasn't always like that. And like, it's almost like a little inside joke that I have when I meet the people there, like they just don't know, because we had drama all around us as kids on a regular basis. If you're from New York in the 70s and 60s, you saw it all the time. I mean, and you didn't take it seriously. I mean, there were mobsters, there was fights, there was foul language everywhere, but it was, how do I say this? It was kind of charming, if that makes any sense, in a weird way. It was just, you never felt scared. You embraced it as the norm, and you laughed it off. I mean, I can't tell you how many times me and my buddies, fought and got into huge arguments. I mean, fist fights, and then like the next day we're all friends again, So, I mean, that's how it was. You just went on, and in our neighborhood, as long as you lived in our neighborhood, you were part of the platoon, so to speak. Little Army Men symbolism there for you folks.
Well, why did you pick the name Army Men?
Because when we were little boys, we played Army constantly. That was our escape from the craziness in our own lives and the dysfunction in our individual family life. And, and we loved playing Army. That was our thing. And as we grew older, we kind of ditched the machine guns for electric guitars, but we still wore the clothes. We still wore the Army jackets and the combat boots, and because it just kind of like, it looked kind of awesome, So, and also the fact, Army Men, like the symbolism, I guess, would be, backing up your brother, living through the battle, living through the war, and having each other's backs. And I think that's what we were trying to convey with these 2 young characters. So,
is that like why Mike's what is that why he came back to sort of like address?
Yes and no. I mean, I don't want to give too much of the plot away, but he comes back to New York for a different his job brings him back to New York for a project. And while he's there, he has this what he thinks is just a foolish idea, just to knock on the door of his best friend and see if the mom is even still alive. You know, he doesn't even know what he's going to say, why he's even there. Deep down inside, he does, but he's lying to himself pretty much. So.
Yeah, I really hope people listening come and watch this, because it was a privilege for me to watch it. And you know, when I saw you share that post on a story of, I think it was a Story Centric community, it just like, I just wanted to definitely see it. And of course, man, congratulations. That must have been.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I get it. But I guess I want to go around the horn and ask, you know, not to like step to the side, but I was always curious, like what always inspired you to ever want to become an actor? You know, one of the hardest and most fulfilling and awarding jobs you could ever have as a human being. Elizabeth, you mind if I start with you?
No, I don't mind. I don't know. I used to play movie star when I was a little kid all the time, and my brother and sister and we used to put on shows in the backyard. My mom would build us a little stage, and this was in the 70s, and we'd do skits to different popular songs, you know, like Hey There Little Red Riding Hood, and I probably never even heard of these things.
And you say you don't sing, come on.
Surfer Joe, and yeah, and even like my mom would tell the kids in the neighborhood to come and bring cans for the soldiers in Vietnam, and she would send all the canned food off to the soldiers after we did our little show and stuff. So I just was always wanting to do it, and then as soon as I got into elementary school, you know, I just came out of the woodwork, is I think is what people thought about me. And I auditioned for a play and I got the lead. And, you know, it was, yeah. And I wasn't a popular girl. I had funny looking glasses and long curly hair, and, you know, but I was perfect for that role and I got it. And so I just kept going. And call me, I don't know, I tried so many other jobs to keep food on the table, and nothing gave me the pleasure like acting. And I love teaching too. I love giving what I've learned to the young people, you know, today. So it's great. I have a great life right now.
Well, you're not done yet. There's plenty.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you're probably not even in the third act yet. Keep going.
No, I think it's more like the fourth quarter, but it's a long one.
All right, you're a football fan. All right, we can relate a little bit. All right, cool. Well, I guess I'll jump right down to Justin. Did you have is this more like a family lane where you're kind of just following your father's footsteps, or did you always have inspiration from the outside?
I really don't know, to be honest. My first play, I was 2 years old, so that was 40 years ago. And then I went to an arts high school, and you know, I always was doing productions, always acting. I kind of have a love-hate relationship for acting.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. So I like breaks from it. But I think it's because I'm always cast, at least for the last 10 years, as the really emotional situations, you know what I mean? So I've always been an all-in kind of guy. So I don't know really how to, you know what I mean? I'll really, I do. Like I play some dark characters. So I like a break between the people with the thorny insides, you know?
I got you.
But acting's always going to be a part of my life. I'm still acting like a cameraman for my job. So, you know, it's pretty crazy, bro. Like I literally hung up the phone and looked at my wife and said, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Like, I just got hired by these people and I don't know how to turn a camera on. Still going. So it's been a ride, you know?
I miss you, Justin.
been a crazy
I miss
ride.
all you guys.
I
We need
miss
to
you
make
too.
we need to make the sequel. You know, it's funny because like as the director, not only did I write and direct, but I edited the entire film. So I've seen these faces for hours on end, and I've
Yeah.
watched the film. And you develop. It's weird. You develop a kinship with the images you're seeing on a daily basis. So I mean, they probably don't know me the way I feel I know them. You know what I mean? I mean, they're very sweet to me, and I know they care about me. But you know, we're not with each other all the time. I've been with these faces for hours and hours on end. So I just love these guys. They're awesome.
We love you.
I don't chase acting like I used to, like which makes it, you know, in a way more authentic when I do stuff with, you know, because it's stuff I want to do, you know.
Sure.
Like I said, it's either if I get a call to do something, it's either going to be what are we getting paid, who are we working with, or what's it about. I have to believe in one of those three things. I have to believe in the paycheck, the purpose, or the people.
Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad for our film.
This was 2 out of the 3. So I'm in, you know what I mean? When it comes to that, you know, especially if it's something, like I said, that can be therapeutic. Acting has been my therapy my whole life. So
that's, yeah, I could totally relate. Like, I guess I'm technically over the hill. You know, I'm 36 now. I'm only yeah. You guys, I'm sorry, Elizabeth. What are you talking about, kid?
It was a weird week for me just this week, 9/11. Like 9/11 for me, my first play in New York City was supposed to open on 9/11.
Right.
So that adds to the weird like dichotomy of me with acting.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like I graduated from Circle in the Square the year after. So yeah, I was in the middle of conservatory when the towers fell. So it's just a weird time in New York from a kid moving up there to, you know, it's just a weird, you know?
Yeah.
No, dude, like 9/11 is directly connected to my family. My dad's a firefighter. He retired in 2012, but he was there. And I was an iron worker before I went to college. And the week I got hurt, I was supposed to be working on the foundation of the Freedom Tower, but I got hurt the week before and just ended my career. And now I'm here. So for me, it's all connected. I get it.
Yeah, I have bad memories. It's like, you know.
And I relate to Paul a lot too in this, you know, in the whole purpose of this movie, you know, as a best friend. You know, I think that Paul, and I don't want to speak for him, but needed to do something with the memory of his best friend because it was doing something to him the whole time. You know, so he finally did this with it, you know, and now he can really spread the real message. The ripple effect of film is forever.
Yeah.
So, you know, more people are going to watch this than we ever know. So, you know, and if it helps one person and saves one person, then it was more than worth it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think Phil, you and I kind of texted about this, how like
you and I had a real heart to heart, you know?
Yeah. And like, you know, you made a good point. You asked me like, did you do this film for yourself? And yeah, I did. It was very therapeutic for me, very therapeutic, you know? And in the process, it you know, it speaks to other people, which I guess in the end is the goal, isn't it? You know, but I mean, yeah, it's a very therapeutic process. Absolutely.
I think that's the beauty of it. For me, it was always very cathartic being an actor. Not having really a theatrical background. I didn't try it until I was 21, which was musical theater. And next thing you know, you're getting asked to be a part of the next project, then the next one. And it goes by real quick. What I discovered through filmmaking is sort of this like ability to sort of control closure, and you can kind of do it on your own terms, you know, at your own pace, but for your own personal healing as well. And because of the ripple effect, as Justin said, you're actually helping those get closure in other ways because they can relate to these characters, and that's the beauty of being a storyteller, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For me, it's been hard to go backwards from projects like this. Like when you do a project that changes people from when they walk in to watch it, from when they're leaving to watch it, real art with purpose, it's hard to do a short film about me and a buddy robbing a bank. You know what I mean? Like that's, you know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah,
not.
your character, because I get that, because you don't shake your character off like very like quickly. You know, the actor character relationship. There's like it's, oh my God, it's weird. Like
Well, if you can't de-roll, then it's not art anymore, right?
Mm.
I mean, they used to tell us that in conservatory when we would do really emotional work. They would say, "Be careful crossing the street today," and they would say, you know, if you're really upset today, then you're not acting. You know, it's controlling you. And we've seen that on deep levels, you know, Heath Ledger's and, you know, whatever.
Exactly.
However people want to blend it. I mean, how many times have there been romances between co-stars that are in love because they lose themselves in the roles, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, we've all experienced that. I know. Yeah,
Even me.
yeah, we've all experienced living, you know, and that's where the fine line is drawn. And I had to draw that fine line as a kid actor growing up and being, you know what I mean? So, but again, you know, when you do theater or film with purpose, it's hard to go back to generic work.
Life. Yeah. No, and you know what the big boy word I learned in the last 2 years was? It was called physiology. You know, I never knew that word existed. And there is a dynamic of reality and theatrical reality. Your body and your brain doesn't know the difference.
I can't even say that word.
Yeah, physiology. I'm like, I could be saying it wrong, but I don't know. I'm not in college anymore. Maybe Douglas could back me up on that. But I guess since I said Douglas's name, buddy, like there had to have been somebody that kind of like was a role model or that inspired you to kind of start or even walk down this path. What was it?
It's tough. It's tough to pinpoint what it was. It was something I tried. When I was young, my father had passed away when I was young. My father passed away when I was like 5. And it was very, you know, I'm 5 years old. I really don't know how to do anything, how to heal or from that or anything. And I guess acting was sort of a way to get out of it for a little bit, go away, be someone else for a change. Even at such a young age, you know, whatever. If I wanted to play Poe from Mulan, sure, I was there.
Oh, no.
You know. But for me, I think it was just a chance to really, I don't know, I guess help myself in such a difficult time at such a young age, and try to make sense of what was happening in my life. And acting was just sort of something that aided in that. It helped me really just kind of like not only understand myself, but help me just kind of like heal myself from what I was going through. And it's just been something like that ever since. And that's just kind of been why. That's like the reason why I think it's been so important to me, or it's been something I've been doing for so long.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess my follow-up question, here's my follow-up question, and this might be a hard one. And I only ask it because I've experienced this directly. So if this was a space for you to kind of just like, I guess maybe learn how to cope, why would you continue if you're already healed?
Well, I think we never fully heal from things like that, especially that big. And I think it's like a scar, right? It's always going to be there. And it's always going to be a reminder. And to have something like this that I can always look back on or continue to do and be like, this is something, it's a comfort space for me, where if I ever feel, you know, low or anything like that, I can go, okay, well, you know, let me either try to do a play, or let me look at some of my old work that I've done, and kind of like, nice, you know, it's like I was able to do something else. I was able to be someone else, and entertain, you know,
Mhm.
just in a sense, it's like therapy for me, you know, doing this and acting and trying to tell good stories, you know, especially something like this with Army Men. It was very nice. It was very nice to get out there and tell this story, you know, and it helped.
Do you have a
Yeah.
favorite story?
Huh?
Do you have an all-time favorite, like a favorite story?
Favorite story?
Well, like if it's whether it could be a book or it could be like it could be something other than a movie, but do you have a favorite or like you know, something, you know?
That's really tough for me.
Like
I really like stories, and if it's something interesting, I'm gonna like it. And if it's something that makes my brain go, I'm gonna like it. So that's tough. That's a really tough question. It's like when someone asks you what's your favorite movie. You know, some people
that is
have
kind of
their,
tough.
you
Depends on
know,
the genre, like more or
yeah,
less.
yeah.
It,
It's
I
just
think
like
it might
some.
if you can narrow it.
It's tough, man. I don't know. I really don't know. I really could answer that question.
Well, if there's an actor or an actress you could work with tomorrow, who would it be?
Oh,
Oh yeah, it's tough. Sorry.
that's a good question though. If there's an actress I could work with, an actor. Hmm. Oh man.
It's tough. I know. I'm
It's
sorry.
like there's so many like good ones who I would love to just sit down and like just talk with, you know, get a feel for it. I don't know.
Well, if you could have a conversation with one over beer, wine, or coffee, pick that one person. Like, who would you like? First person to pop in your head.
Man, that's tough. That's like such a tough question. Oh my God. Um, I'd probably pick someone. I'd probably pick Chris Evans, to be quite honest with you.
Really?
Very
like
funnily enough. Um, Mainly, I think it's because I grew up when he was, you know, he played the Human Torch, he was Captain America. So I
Yeah.
kind of grew up with him being kind of that. And so if he's an actor that's really stuck with me and I've seen all of his work and I love it. So if I could have a beer with him, I would. I'd sit down and have a beer with him and chit chat with him, probably.
I hope you talk about Snowpiercer. When you do.
Yes,
Oh
I
my
would love to
God.
talk about Snowpiercer with him.
Yeah. It's just like, what was that like,
What
Captain?
was that?
That was a trip. What a movie.
But yeah.
Good pick, man. What about you, Sammy? Can I ask you the same question?
Ooh,
Or you don't drink coffee, beer, or anything, but let's start with
I know. I
ice
was
cream.
gonna say if I had to go with beer, I'd probably be drinking apple juice. Um, I was thinking about that while you were talking to Douglas. I would probably be choose like Hugh Jackman or Andrew Garfield. Probably. Well, Hugh
Well,
Jackman, he's kind of done like both, like the
All
theater
these
side of
Marvel
things.
Universe guys. Wow.
well, no, that's
Well,
DC. Well,
Marvel's
hold on,
like our
no.
live
That's
Marvel Star
DC,
Wars.
you know, and Sony DC, but they're both music. They both can sing, you know, these two
Uh-huh.
guys.
yeah.
Mhm.
They can.
Yeah. And they're some of those actors that like nobody hates, which I think is one of the coolest things. Like they're actors that like a lot of people love, or some people just don't like them for some reason. But I think those two are like the inspiration of like who to be.
Likable guys, just, you know,
Uh-huh.
doing the
I
gig,
mean, and
doing the
Andrew
job.
Garfield was Spider-Man. I mean,
I mean, we've had a bunch of Spider-Mans, and I think that, I mean, we're gonna
yeah.
have like maybe 10 more within our lifetime, you know, because we got the multiverse now, we got all these other things going on. It's pretty crazy.
And hopefully I'm old enough by then.
You know, I'd like to sit down with an actor named Vincent D'Onofrio, but I don't know how I could ever do that. How I could achieve that. I'd have to know somebody who knows him personally.
Yo, in real, he's the original Thor. I don't care what anybody says.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly right.
By the way, you
grew
know
up
what I'm
watching
saying
that
here, right?
Yes.
Elizabeth D'Onofrio. She comes from a very talented family.
So,
Yeah.
So you did your first play with your brother, right?
Me?
Yeah, in the backyard.
Oh well, we did little skits and stuff. No, but I did my first touring play with my brother we did This Property is Condemned. And I was Willie, and and he was the boy that just sits there and listens to me talk for an hour. It's a great play.
Incidentally, Vincent is now part of the Marvel Universe, playing Kingpin in Daredevil.
Welcome to Happy Corner. This project strives to make safe housing areas for stray cats at an affordable price. It's so easy to put together that even your children could have fun making one. Help keep cats and other animals safe with their own little Happy Corner homes. You can help this project become a reality by donating to the GoFundMe page. Happy Corner homes are a great way to show those animals in need it's okay to be happy.
Yeah.
And I didn't plan this conversation or anything like that. I heard about that, but it's just like, you got to be kidding me. Thor, Mighty God of Thunder? No way. The original. I don't know if you kids, have you ever seen the movie Adventures in Babysitting?
Yeah.
How about you? Have you ever see that, Doug?
Classic.
Put it on your list right now. All right. You can't talk to Paul or Justin or Elizabeth until you do.
Great. I tell my kids to watch it because there's a lot of young people in it. It's really, really good.
It's
and they're
beautiful.
Really
These kids get in the city. They got it. Nobody leaves this place without singing the damn blues.
Yeah.
Oh my God. No, that was.
I love that movie. Yeah.
I love that movie. We used to watch that we still do every single Thanksgiving when my cousins come from Pennsylvania. We would always be watching The Goonies and Adventures in Babysitting. Those are the movies we're watching together every single Thanksgiving.
I know. I love that movie.
Still do it.
Yeah, she's done so many though. I know. But I got the pleasure to work with my brother, and I loved it. I just, I love it. And I have to admit, I mean, my first film was Household Saints, and actually they're screening it at the New York Film Festival. I think it's in October somewhere.
Was this recent?
Yeah, no, it was in the 90s, I think it was, or late 80s or something like that. No, I was
3 with Tracy Ullman and Vincent.
Yeah, and I was in that. I played what Tracy called the hens, one of the hens. Cackling neighborhood women in New York.
Is that a reference to the Cuckoo Pigeon Sisters, or?
Yes, everything. Yeah, she was. Oh my gosh, it was incredible to work with her and sit in a makeup trailer and laugh for like so long. I mean, my jaw was killing me from laughing. Just being in the makeup trailer with Tracy. It was
so more of like is this like an anniversary type of a film that they're going to be showing?
No, it's a what do they call it? Reboot. Yeah. A reinvented reboot.
Was it like a new director's cut or something? Or
it's Nancy Savoca is the director. She was from NYU,
Nancy Savoca. I could see her here on IMDb.
Yeah, and her husband was the producer, and I just got an email from them.
You gonna go?
No, they're having a private party, so I might go because they know that because of the strike.
Right.
People can't go and promote it, so they have to. They're going to do a private screening, and yes, I'm going to go to that, of course.
Has the strike been affecting everybody in the room?
Me.
I'm still non-union. I've been eligible for years, but I hadn't got a chance to really say, all right, now is a good time to join.
Yeah, I don't want to talk.
I want to say it's affecting me, but it's really not because there's just nothing going on here in South Florida.
Nothing.
All the stuff is in LA and Atlanta and New York. Nothing here in Florida anymore.
Yeah,
it's very rare. You might get like a Hallmark movie or something like that. Which I think Elizabeth, you've done a couple of those, right?
Yeah, 2 of them. I've done a couple of them. Yeah, that's all that's been around. So, but I don't care. I mean, it's fun. I'm like, All right, great, thanks. This
Yeah.
is gonna be fun.
So
I love those Hallmark movies. They're great. And the reason why I wanted to do this film, not only because of the message and how it made me feel, was that I really wanted to something dramatic to put on my reel. Because I'm just, I'm the sweet aunt that's a little Betty Whitish, I'm always doing stuff like that, and
sure.
yeah, and I'm when I was younger, I mean, most of what I did was dramatic acting. So, I couldn't wait to do comedies. And now that I've done some, I just want one, I'm so glad I have this one to put on my reel, show a serious part of me. So we'll see.
Have you ever done any of your own writing or anything like that?
Oh yeah, I when I lived in North Carolina, I wrote, directed, and starred in a film that I wrote for myself. It was about an artist, about a starving artist and single mother and all that. But she was actually a painter. And so I wrote that, had it filmed, everything. It's a short. That one's called Awaken the Dawn. And then I had a partner that a very good friend of mine. She wrote. She won all kinds of awards from writing. And so she hit me up with a couple of films that would represent like women in their 40s, and I produced them, under SAG contracts at the time and stuff. And so we made two of those, and one was The Chocolate Fetish, which was all done in black and white, and the other one was Waiting for Jilly, and so it was great. That's when I lived in North Carolina. Like I said, I always had a big toe in it somewhere because I wanted to do it, and I was in my 40s at that time, so I was still hot.
You're still hot, baby.
I mean, you can still turn a lot of heads, Miss Elizabeth. Just
Still smoking.
Yeah, you guys will get as brave as me when you get older too. Yeah, so that's I don't want to talk too much about my family and everything, but yes, it's I'm so proud of my brother. Always have been and always will be. And he's worked very, very hard in his lifetime to get where he is.
I can't imagine, just how to get your foot in the door, the competition,
everything. Yeah. And he started, we're not like musical actors like you guys, but he started on Broadway in a film called in a play called Open Admissions. It wasn't a musical. It was just and he played this big kid from the Bronx, going, and that's when they used to let all the people in the schools, whether they passed or not, they'd let them in the colleges. It was an open admission program at that time in New York. So all these people that had no right to be in these colleges because they were going to fail, were getting in. And so, he played this big dumb guy from the Bronx, that it was so funny though. It was hilarious. Because of course that was the first somebody got a Broadway show.
Yeah.
So we all went, of course, and then we would go to school, we studied together, we lived in Colorado together after we left Miami. We went to Colorado. And we lived there with my dad for a while. And we did plays because my dad always had theaters and he always directed them or did scene study or, scenery or whatever. And so we were always part of his plays. So we just always did those. And then one day I said, I'd like to go to New York and pursue this. And Vincent said, oh, can I go too? I'm like, sure. I'd love to have a bodyguard. And we started studying, and that was that, So
yeah,
very proud.
God bless him. Truly. I mean, what an awesome dude.
Oh, he is. And he is a sweetheart. He's a big,
Yeah, I kind of got that, but at the same time, how could you ever know unless you know him,
yeah. And he's got two giant boys just like him, you know.
Oh,
They're
so you're an aunt?
oh yeah. I've been an aunt for a while. Of course, there's Layla George, who's the most beautiful girl in the world, if you ask me. And she's his daughter, you know. So yes, I've been an aunt for a long time. But I was a mother first before an aunt. So because he is a couple years younger than me.
So is this sort of like a family legacy where everybody's a little bit more artistic, where they dabble in the arts?
My father was, but I don't want to really talk about him very much, but he was. And, he just read a lot. He loved to. And he was very much into history and English and stuff like that. And he also painted. He painted a lot, and drew. Vincent used to draw when he was younger too. Actually, Vincent was actually a magician. And
really?
He was
what?
Famous magician at 16 years old. He was the youngest magician in the Brotherhood of Magicians in Miami and all that. Yeah, he worked with Blackstone Jr.
That's really cool.
That's fun.
Yeah. And so, we were always doing stuff. My sister isn't an actor, and I call my sister the movie star because my sister is a year and some older than me, but she tells everybody she's the younger sister, of course. But she makes sure she looks like a movie star. So I always tell her, you're the movie star and I'm the actress. But yeah. So it was mostly me and my brother that just went off and studied and stuff. And my mom was very creative too. And we just all got to see each other. My mom passed away just in April, the end of April. So we planned a Disney trip and we all went to Disney together, which was nice, just a couple of weeks ago. So that was a lot of fun. And I got a lightsaber.
Hey.
Oh, you're my new hero.
That's awesome.
I built my own lightsaber. I got a lightsaber.
What color is it though?
It's the light is green.
Yeah. You gotta no.
That's what mine was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go Skywalker.
Yeah, it's Luke Skywalker. So I love dressing up like General Leia, and so I'm just gonna have to say that I borrowed the lightsaber from my brother, from Luke.
Nice.
It's the green one. I gave the other girl my blue one or whatever.
Never mind. We did when I was in college, when I first started this journey, I was 22 and was really getting into it. And up in the Hudson Valley, I went to community college called Orange County Community College, and that's basically where it all began. It always started right on the stage. But what we did this one semester is that we got to write our own performances. But then I took it a step farther because I said, what if we actually all did everything that we wrote and we just put it up on the stage? And we did it like, I don't know if it was like for a fundraiser, but what if we did something where we could actually just do it again and just have it open audience, see who just shows up. And that's where things got crazy because that was the first thing I ever produced. And up in the Hudson Valley, Woodstock was kind of popular. So I just called it Oxstock, where we just had this combination of all these different theater pieces. And there was comedies. There was not so much drama, but a lot of it was just like, where you're 21, 22 years old and change, and it's going to be a mixed bag of nuts. One of them was called Jediism, where we actually had sort of like this, how do you describe it? This parody of Jehovah's Witnesses as Jedis. And it was just like, that was the funniest thing by far that ever, to what I can remember, that we've ever done as a group. And we were all called the Penguins. We were just like this theater group of penguins, really. And Jediism was one of the funniest things we did, because we literally like did a little bit of homework on how to be a Jehovah's Witness, but we substituted everything with the Force and just recreated an entire like religion of Jediism. And
Yeah,
it was
cool.
just we
Jedi.
didn't have a lightsaber duel or anything like that, but it was like you would have cried. It was so funny. We even did a couple like references to Chuck Norris, and it was just like, yeah, it's hilarious.
I'll tell you one thing. My brother is one of the funniest people I know. Oh my God, I just cannot be around him sometimes because I can't even breathe. You know, it's like so funny, especially like if my son's around him or he's got another buddy with him where they just start back and oh my gosh, it's so much fun. I just love it. You know, it's great. And his boys are starting to become the same way. Yeah, they're just hilarious. And he's just a real family man now. You know, he just likes spending time with his kids.
Can't blame him. You know, I think he earned it at some point in a man's life. You just want to kind of like take it in for a moment, especially when you have kids, you know, spend time with them, go to Disney, man. And
he has a 22-year-old that looks a lot like Douglas. I don't know if you've ever seen any pictures. His name is Elias Gene D'Onofrio, but he looks a lot like you.
Really?
Yeah. A lot. Yeah. It's really cute to see. Yeah.
You guys gotta have a cast party and just be like, all right, let's everybody get up there, do a monologue. And nobody.
We hope to have something in Florida. If we get a film festival here in Florida, it'd be nice to get everybody together for that.
Yeah.
When's that going up?
No, I said it'd be nice to get a film festival to accept the film. So far, there hasn't been anything local that's accepted it yet. So, but there's I'm waiting to hear from about 7 Florida film festivals.
What about private screenings? You ever do anything amongst yourselves?
Yes and no. I mean, there's a private link available for producers and the people who contributed to the film and to the actors and the crew. But that's about it. But as you know, we can't make the film public while it's doing the festival circuit, or we can get disqualified. So we have to
I never understood that. I've spoken about ethics as far as like being a film creator, festival host. Like, what I never understood that logic. Now, like, is that any of my business on how you go around promoting your story? Like I would thought as a director of a festival. How's that really helping? What's the point of my festival?
I mean, some of these festivals, as you know, they want to be, they have their specific rules. They'll say, for instance, I've seen festivals saying that it has to be a world premiere, So, excuse me, I'm about to have a coffee.
You can only world premiere once. You can only world premiere.
Yeah. And who cares? Like, what is?
I'm with you.
So what? Like, what is?
I agree. I'm with you. I share your sentiment. A world premiere I can understand, but you can only pick one place to world premiere. After that, it's not the world premiere anymore. So
right.
And no, I had like last year I had this very funny comedy. I think it was called Hemlock Manor, or Events at Hemlock Manor. They came into our festival last year. They got accepted. Wonderful story. Nice little comedy. It's hilarious. But they had to opt out like a month or 2 before we were actually ready to go, because they got accepted into a festival that came a few months after ours that were going to disqualify if they were not the world premiere at that.
They were not the world premiere.
Right.
I understand that though a little bit, because I know festivals down here in Florida that they will take a feature film if it's a world premiere, and they will build a lot of the festival around that film. And a lot of the marketing is, this is the world premiere of this film, this film. And they'll play that film multiple times in multiple theaters in the festival. So it paints the bait for the filmmakers, but you better make the right choice, because you can only world premiere once.
Yeah.
Even still, it's like, yes, it's an honor to be nominated, accepted, all these things. Hats off for even actually casting it, producing it,
making a movie,
publishing it, next phase. Like, okay, I get that, but I for me, I guess it's more of like a peeve where it's like like what I recognize a film festival as a public service, more or less. That's how I recognize it. Because when I did my very first film at 22 years old, I was just a regular actor, or not even a regular actor. Like, I'm just a kid, I'm 22. I did the acting thing in a semester, and then I got in my first student film. That film went into a film festival, and that's what kind of just led me to go really train in New York City. I really appreciate film festivals because of that opportunity that it brings. Because if I did not get accepted, or if the film was not accepted into the Black Bear Film Festival, which was sort of like, all right, I never would have met the guy who actually ran the whole festival, who really enjoyed the film. That was the guy that specifically told me, go study in New York. And I recognize film festivals as that stepping stone for everybody in their career to actually inspire them to really pursue this. You know what I mean? That's what I feel like a film festival is, as far as a public service, because we're actually serving the art form. Like, don't put your festival sort of like at this like brand over the art form itself.
I agree.
I can't relate to that.
I agree too. And excuse me, but I ran 4 film festivals for a while. Yeah. So the first one my dad started was the River Run International Film Festival, and it was in Brevard, North Carolina. And then he sold it to the Winston School of the Arts, in North Carolina School of the Arts in Winston-Salem. And now they're still going strong with the River Run. Okay. So, I mean, I did everything on that film festival. And then, excuse me, when I moved back down here, I got invited to help with the Naples Film Festival, and then I got invited to help with the Fort Myers Film Festival. And then I became the artistic director of the Fort Myers Beach Film Festival, which Hurricane Ian washed away. So that's gone. But anyway, I have a lot of experience with film festivals, and they're a lot of work.
What was the policy on world premieres with some of those festivals that you did?
We didn't care, about that stuff.
Yeah, I'm finding. I mean, there are a lot of festivals that I've submitted to that don't care. They say it doesn't matter if it's not a world premiere or if it's been screened publicly before. But I would say the majority of them do not want it screened publicly.
I just always told filmmakers, like, be sure that if you're going to bigger film festivals, okay, that if you happen to get in, make sure that this isn't going to hurt you being here. Right. Check it out. And so, I've always done that because I've known, I mean, we like to show a lot of, at River Run, we like to show a lot of my brother's films. He did some independent films too. And, it was like, it was hard to get them. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have got those films, because a lot of them, they were going to Sundance, they were going to different places like that, and they were going to get in. So, but after I went to those places, we could get them. So that was good. And then even with the Fort Myers Beach Film Festival, today I see, when I go online to see the categories in film festivals, I'm like, you have to enter a category now. I mean, we used to have short film, feature film, you know what I mean? Screenwriting, but now if you want to even be considered, if you want your actors considered, you have to pay for best actor and best, supporting actor.
Which I don't see how a world premiere should have any bearing on any kind of award categories.
Me neither. But did you find that, Paul, when you were entering film festivals?
About what, the different categories? Yeah, because there's competitions, which, by the way, you have to purchase your trophy if you win one of these competitions. A lot of these
So I could have been charging you guys to win the trophy, because it's just like, damn, because I know
right.
I know they're not cheap, but it's like, I thought that was my job.
I got $50. Can you make me an award-winning actor?
I know a guy, if you don't mind a medal instead, you know.
Oh, we did nothing but give our filmmakers everything, you know. I mean, we had swag bags for them. We had places to put them up, you know. Yeah.
My first film festival was like that, and I produced a documentary called "The Reckoning of White Boy" back when did I do that? When I was 4, I'm 59 now, so I was 47 at the time, and it was at the Rincon International Film Festival in Puerto Rico. Man, they treated us like royalty. I mean, they rolled out the red carpet. They had photo ops, they had food, they had swag, like you said. You know, it was great to be respected in that regard, and it's great because, you know, as the filmmaker, you feel like a celebrity for the weekend or for that week. You know, the people come up to you, they talk about your film. Oh, you were great in your film, or, you know, and they invite you to dinner, and, you know, it's really fun. I really hope that we get something locally so that these young guys could experience a good film festival. And
I've never been to one before.
Oh, you'd love it. You'd love it.
You would love it, and you would just, you'd feel like a celebrity, and
you do,
and justifiably so. You know, you should. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll see what the guys deliver.
My sister and I we won't go to Sundance, because my sister lives in Utah, but we won't go to Sundance unless my brother has a movie there, because if he does, then we're treated like queens. So otherwise we're just, you know, peas in the pod. So we know.
So Phil, you gonna roll out the red carpet for us in New York? What's the deal?
If we have the budget, yeah, sure.
Oh, I wanted to ask you, isn't there a school in Astoria for kids with disability acting for kids with disabilities? Because my brother does teaching there sometimes.
I haven't heard of a disability theater school.
I know there's a school, isn't Frank Sinatra High School right across the street from where you're doing the festival?
Yeah, Kaufman Astoria has the Frank Sinatra School of the Arts right across the street. Met a couple of filmmaker instructors were a part of our festival last season, and I think they won Best Writer and Best Short Film for their 2 movies, because they did do very well. It was nuts. I don't think I ever heard of one exclusively with kids with disabilities that have their own school. Yeah. Not yet. Like, it hasn't crossed my path yet.
He has a children's book called Pigs Can't Look Up. And the proceeds...
No, come on.
Oh, you got to see this.
Oh, and no.
The proceeds all go to that school.
I'll see what I can do to try and find it.
Yeah.
Where you right here in Astoria?
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
He comes and teaches all the time. He goes and teaches there.
Really? Wow, your brother's a saint.
Oh, I know he is. Yeah.
Holy cow. No, a lot of guys, they just, you know, they like, a lot of people just don't really care.
He doesn't ask for money or anything. He just doesn't.
Good for him. What a cool dude.
Good guy.
Yeah, he is. That's how he gives back, you know. Got to.
Hey Phil.
Yes, sir.
I gotta bail. So I'm going to say goodbye right now. If anybody wants to continue there to talk to Phil, I have to bail. But it was such a pleasure doing this.
Do you have at least 2 minutes?
2 minutes? Yeah, 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Yeah.
So usually before I wrap up each show, I always end it with this one final segment called "The Right Words at the Right Time."
Okay.
And I started this because when I was 21 years old, I got my hands on this book called "The Right Words at the Right Time," written by Marcy Hopkins. And it was just a collective of interviews of now household names, but once upon a time, all these people that later became famous actors, actresses, producers, directors, athletes, politicians, you name it. They were just young people trying to figure out life just like everybody else. But each and every one of them did have something, the right words at the right time that got them through thick and thin, for better or worse, that just always stuck with them to overcome all the obstacles they have. So my question for you, Paul, has anybody ever given you the right words at the right time that have just always stuck with you and that have carried you through up until this point? Or do you have any words of your own that you would like to share?
Yeah, I remember when I was a young man in my early 20s. I've been blessed with a lot of interesting things before the age of 30. I created a nationally syndicated children's TV series in 1995 called Jelly Bean Jungle. It was on in every household in America. It was like a live action puppet series. I just happened to stumble upon some producers who wanted to cash in on the whole Barney thing. So I came up with a concept, and they got $4 million together, and we produced this thing, and it wound up being on television. Anyway, long story short, I remember at age 25 walking into the set thinking that I was the shit. I was the fucking shit, you know? And I didn't let people do their job. And I remember the director took me aside and he said, Paul, you got to let people do their job. And, I kind of, it took me a while for that to resonate. And through the years, I realized not only do you let people do their job, which shows respect to them, but you learn by seeing what they're doing, and you start to view things differently. You think your answer is always the correct answer, but it's nice to sit back and listen to other people for a change. So I would definitely say, let people do their job and listen. I hope that answered your question. I don't know if it did.
No, it does. And I think that's the hardest thing, especially when you're the head coach, where you want to kind of do the job for everybody. But sometimes you got to take a step back and let the players play the part and do their part in the field, and just call out the plays.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, this has been great, Paul. We'll let you go. I'll wrap up with the rest of your
awesome
cast. And
thank you guys. Thank you, Phil.
Bye, Paul.
Great to see you again,
Hopefully
Paul.
I'll see you in New York. I love all you guys.
Love you too.
I'll see you on Facebook, man.
I'm gonna have to get going here soon too. My apologies. I have little ones. They need to eat.
I hear Justin. Like,
don't need it, dude. I've been throwing a water bottle out there every now and then, Adam. They're still alive, but.
Well, do you mind if I ask you the same question?
As far as acting or life?
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be about it doesn't have to be, but has anybody ever given you the right words at the right time that just have always stuck with you?
Yeah. I think like Elizabeth, I've grown up with just around amazing talent. So I never had a lack of those words. I feel like, like I've always had people around me that could say the right things, to be honest. Listen is very important. Obviously, I think a lot of people think acting is listening. I was taught that acting is awareness. Acting is a journey into you. Acting is the art of self-awareness, or I don't know. As far as life goes, do I need to say this? Do I need to say this now? Do I need to say this at all? And saying those three things to myself before I speak. Do I need to say this? Do I need to say this right now? Do I need to say this at all?
I need that.
And that's
me too.
Yeah, that's kept me out of a lot of bullshit. But I work with a bunch of people who could kick my ass.
I got a couple of friends of mine that I really got to know, and they're professional CFF fighters, Bellator fighters. Like, these guys studied that art form since they were 12, and they know exactly what they're doing. And I've seen them compete on UFC Fight Pass. They're all undefeated right now, so I get it.
Yeah. It's, there's a lot of parallels with fighting and acting. I believe that, if you stick somebody on a stage or in a fight, you're going to see their true self come out. I think if they're a coward, it's going to come out. I think if they're really about it and brave, it's going to come out. As actors, we have to be firemen and run into the fire that people run away from, be vulnerable in private and public, which is really scary, like a fight.
Yeah.
You're kind of naked. I think Meryl Streep said that acting is like being on stage naked and turning around slowly. And I think that that's true, you know? And I think we try to always get there as actors, you know, try to be that private in public, which is what I think these two young men did tremendously well in the film.
Yeah.
Which goes to show, which Elizabeth alluded to earlier, is some of the best actors don't have a lot of experience, you know? Sometimes experience can kill an actor. You know, learning the rules can fuck an actor up sometimes, can get an actor in their head, and then they forget how to just be. They forget how to be.
Yeah.
When acting is, the whole point of acting is to not act. You know, authors try to write conversations like we're having now,
Right.
where it's just people really talking, you know? But yeah, there's a lot of parallels in fighting and acting. But I think it's the honesty that comes out of a person.
I agree.
You know, is the interesting thing, and also trying to be a better version of yourself every day. That mindset is healthy for an actor or a fighter. Me today versus me yesterday. It's never me versus you.
Right.
It's always me today versus me yesterday. And that mindset is transferable and useful in any category, you know?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I've been in the past year and a half, I've been, I don't want to say studying compared to like how I studied my ass off for being an actor, but really being a part of mixed martial arts every day, you know, learning jujitsu, learning Muay Thai, learning MMA, the terminology, very hard, but being present and being alert. I had a little bit of a hard time really like kind of like changing the wiring of my brain, because I always felt that the most important person in the room is the other person in the room. Like I'm a good sparring partner, I guess, where I'm actually, you know, I'm protecting them as we're going through this and everything. And yet when we're actually going live, it's like, how do I protect myself without really hurting them? You know, that's been sort of like my little, that's what I've been challenged with.
I'll tell you that they're very interesting observation, and that's like this. But you have, as an actor, we have like this extra. All of our senses are heightened. You know, I know Elizabeth used to go through acting exercises back in her acting class days of running around really close to each other and freezing and stopping and sitting and all this physical weird acting exercises. But I'll tell you, man, that shit's transferable on a production set.
Oh yeah,
that's transferable when I'm in a fight live pay-per-view as the camera guy that's in the cage with a bunch of people around me, and I'm moving better working than the average person in there because I did all those fucking weird acting exercises, right? But it's true, you know? So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think that if you have a natural gift for something like these two young men have, and I think everybody on here probably has, but these two young guys I'll use as the best example, and you want something, and you're not an asshole, you can get it. I think you can do that with anything.
Yeah.
You could be the most talented person in the world, but if you're a jerk, it ain't going to work. Period. And I don't care who you are or what you're doing. You have to be good to people, and you have to want it. That's anything.
Cheers. Well said, man. Thank you, Justin.
Wow.
I appreciate you guys a lot. I admire all of you here. God bless everybody, or whatever you believe in. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
We'll see you on the next one, buddy. Justin Sims, ladies and gentlemen. Awesome dude.
That's a whole TED talk in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean,
I know. I think, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, he was so much fun to work with. You see his laid back attitude, and he's also right there in the moment with you. I'll tell you, I mean, I try to tell my students all the time, don't act with yourself. Act with the people, be with the people around you, include them, react to them, feel them in your soul, And that's what Justin and I did, We just connected with the heartbreak and everything. We just did, If like a tear came in his eyes, I'd flood. If a tear came in my eyes, he flooded. It was just, and when we hugged, I mean, it was so real. It was such a real hug. It was a real, that we both felt the strength, that the love that we had for that one boy.
Yeah.
It was right there. Do you want me to tell you? Because I got to go too, but I'll tell you what.
Absolutely. Has anybody ever given you the right words at the right time that just have always stuck with you?
Yes, a couple of times. Like once, when I was very young, I was like 17, and my first boyfriend told me, I don't even remember what I did, but I just felt so bad because it was a mistake. And he said to me, "A wise man makes mistake, but the fool repeats them." And at 17 years old, to hear that was the best thing I ever heard in my life, because it saved me from repeating so many things in my life. It's
Wow.
like life is going to take you, it's all lessons. It's all a lesson. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past, because you've learned from it and you grow from it. So another time was, of course, when I first started studying the Stanislavski system. Of course, Stanislavski's love the art in yourself and not yourself in the art. And it's like just love that you can do it. Not that everybody's going to see you and give you adoration and lots of money and all that. And we all know it's like playing the lottery. This business. My brother won it. I didn't, but I'm still working and I love it. And if I didn't love it, I wouldn't be doing it. And I would have quit doing it a long time ago, knowing that there was no way I was going to be on that scale of fame as my brother was, because I was getting older and had other things I was doing, and, but it's just to love it. Every time you do something, you get so excited, even if it's really heavy. It's, you sit there and you cry over something, and then you call up the director and you say, "Oh my God, I gotta do this." It's like, I have to. It's
Yeah.
And I think another thing my brother told me when I used to be, as an actor, another thing, I was terrified at auditions, and I wasn't taught the relaxation technique that I learned from studying with Sharon Chatton from the Actors Studio. And I hadn't learned that. So I had no idea, what kind of preparation I need to do for an audition. I'm coming off of like the Stanislavski Theater where it's all internal acting and all this. And I was, I just couldn't, I'd get out there and I just couldn't concentrate enough. I just didn't know what I was doing. But if you give me a job and I work so hard and, I'll do everything I need. I just couldn't not look at these people like they were gods because they had what I wanted, And my brother said to me once, and you might not get this, okay, but he said, "Just look at those people like their dad." It's like,
Oh, I see.
I know what you're trying to tell me to do, but I think it's really stupid, and I'm going to do what I want, And he said, "That's what gets me through it. I just look at them like their dad. And I don't care if you like me or not. Here it is, And I'll tell you, it was true. It worked. I finally could go to an audition and look at them and just go, here it is.
Ta-da.
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 So that just pretend they're dad.
Oh man. You got I mean, God bless you, Elizabeth. Holy cow. Like, those are really that is the smartest thing I've heard in such a long time. A wise man makes mistakes, but a fool repeats it.
Yeah.
That was probably the smartest thing I've ever heard while doing this podcast.
And I heard it from, well, I was like 16. I think he was 18 or 19-year-old kid.
Smart kid. Wow.
Yeah.
And quick to forgive. It sounded like he really forgave you real quick.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't remember what I did, but I remember how he made me feel afterwards, and it stuck with me forever. So what a sweetheart.
Yeah. And it's just a really good, like Justin was saying, you have to, think. Who was saying that? Somebody was saying.
Justin?
Yeah, Justin,
Oh,
should
like,
I say it?
do I have to say it?
Yeah.
Do I say it right now, or do I have to say it at all? Yeah.
That's that. But you're thinking to yourself, do I need to do this? Have I done this before and it didn't work out? Or is this a new thing and it might work out? And then if it doesn't work out, there's another lesson. That's all it is. Another lesson.
I think I heard, I don't know if it was Sean John or Sean Paul, I forget his name, but it came from many different mouths over years where it's like, there's no such thing as a loss, but just a lesson.
Yeah.
That's really a matter of perception. But you're right.
I think, it's like I become, more spiritual in my old age than I was when I was younger. And, I sometimes I think that, I don't know if it's all my training that's in my head all the time, and stuff, but it seems to me whenever I want something, it's right there. It just goes, remember? And it's like, oh yeah, and, I don't know if it's like, dead people are talking to me, my ancestors or what,
Something.
or you know what I mean, or if it's just from my training and loading it all up in files in my head, but I do know how to teach how to get it, but I can't do it for you unless you want to.
Right.
A lot of times, of course, all my really young students want to be Marvel actors, and they're all so cute because, they're all different nationalities, Hispanic, Black, they're really adorable. And there's no reason why they can't be, there really isn't. I mean, they're only 12 years old now. So I tell them, take martial arts and stuff like that. But believe it or not, I'm an advanced brown belt in Shuri-Ryu karate.
Wow.
Wow.
Did I hear that right? Oh, wow.
I got my brown belt when I was in my 40s. I
Wow.
worked, yeah, from
Oh, wow.
yeah.
What?
Oh, that's amazing.
I didn't even
Yeah.
get a stripe yet.
Yeah, I did. I got a stripe. Yeah, advanced
man.
brown belt. Yeah, I got
Good for you.
Yeah, and I was in that. It was something for me and my son to do together.
Sure.
Because he was really young at the time, and we found a class that took all ages. So we did. Well, now he's like a what do you call it? Triple black belt MMA, like you. Stuff like
Don't
that.
say like me. I'm just the guy. I'm just the guy like holding the bags and taking beating every day.
Well, he doesn't do it anymore, but he did do some stunts, for Law and Orders and stuff.
That's awesome because
wow.
like that's a very underappreciated art form as well. They're serving the character equally as we do.
Yeah.
Like I've always believed that.
Shut up and give these beautiful boys a chance to talk.
No, not at all. Like I mean, yeah, guys, like you're still just getting into it. You only got a couple like real credits under your belt, but like the grind, like some life experience and like I'm sure like somebody must have told you something that really kind of just, inspired you to keep going. Who wants to go first? Sam, Doug, you want to flip a coin or you want me to pick or
Douglas, you want to start?
Take it away, Sam.
Okay. Well, I think Well, to kind of pay off what everyone else has been talking about, the thing that stuck with me the most is actually something I was told a few months ago while I was up in New York doing like an acting program thing. It was about auditions. It was saying that you're not there to prove, you're there to show, like perform what you have. It kind of like how you were saying,
Yeah.
how it's like, imagine your dad there.
Yeah.
And it's been really helpful. It's been awesome. But I've only done like a lot of theater, so I don't have a lot of experience. But I mean, being in theater is just like, man, it's an escape from everything. And being like an actor, it's kind of like being like you're still a child, like all the time. It's constantly play. You're playing a game, and you're just playing a game with everyone who wants to play with you. Yeah.
Well, I think there was something kind of wise in there, just a little bit that I kind of caught on. It's like you're playing, people get to play with you. It's fun.
Yeah, it is. You got to make sure it's fun. Yeah, or don't do it. That's what I tell my students.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't know if it's a biblical truth or just something Walt Disney said, where like there is a kid in all of us, you know, like, and that is absolutely true. Like I'm still 10 years old. Like I remember it. I could feel it like as if it were yesterday. I could remember all of it. And like when you experiment, when you go through different crafts or techniques of acting for kind of like triggering like a little bit of an emotional memory, there is sense memory. I forget a lot of the names, but it always comes back when I'm actually putting my hands.
Emotional memory, sense
memory, all these little things. Like you're going to be seeing colors. It's going to be getting freaky.
Yeah.
And sounds are going to be affecting you a different way. Smell,
but that's what's fun about it.
You know, but that's like to your point. You got to keep the play alive.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be there has to be joy a part of this, you know, and as you hone this craft, or you could sort of like stabilize your emotions as you go through a scene and use the dialogue or the circumstances to really uphold the boundaries of that, you'll be fully alive within it, you know, and underneath it. And that's what the play comes in.
Yeah, I think keeping the joy is also one of the biggest thing like you can do, especially where I am like everyone my age, like working hard to get into that industry, like break in. A lot of people start to see it more as a competition. Like everyone I've talked to up in New York, like around my age, they don't have fun. They just see it as if I don't get this, it's my life is over or something like that.
I can understand that part of the process. Because when you're on your own, you're on your own. The stakes are higher. Like there's a how do I it's very bittersweet because we're still a part of life, even though we're actually recreating life in a parallel theatrical way. We're still a part of it, and sometimes it's in your favor, especially when life is really beating the living shit out of you, which has yet to happen. And consider it all joy when you get on the other side of that ass kicking, because now you're bringing a lot more to the stage and to the performance and to the projects. Where everybody else is probably tapped out, you know?
Exactly. One thing, you know, I always tell my students, well, you know, I say acting is more like, you know, don't act, react, listen, and breathe.
That's what I'm constantly told.
Yeah.
Have you tried breathing, you know?
Yeah. I thought, you know, I've actually seen people turn blue on the stage, you know, because they're doing a monologue and they don't breathe through the whole thing. It's like
there are techniques I learned while at conservatory that actually help you get off book quicker by learning to breathe on certain points in the dialogue, you know?
Yeah.
Like I'll give you a little tip. Every time you see a comma, take a deep breath and highlight that spot, because the second there's a comma or a period, that's your cue to breathe. And funny enough, when it'll actually help you get out of your head when you're actually just focusing and just a hair more on your breath, because you're going to remember the lines, but your body is going to help you get to those lines a lot quicker as you breathe when you're out of your head, and it's just going to flow. Because once you stop breathing, everything shuts down.
Yeah,
it's the same thing as like singers do.
Yeah. And the script analysis, you have to do it. You got it, you know. I tell my students, don't get lazy. Read the whole thing. You got to do it. You know, that's how you find out everything about your character. You don't just
like
what your character is,
there's circumstances and different points of view that
right. How are you going to build a character from you? What's a blank, thing? Well, it's not blank, but it's you. And then you got to put all this other life on top of it. How are you going to know
I'm guilty of not analyzing characters like all the way through. It wasn't until like about last year I actually started doing that, realizing maybe I should do this. Maybe this will help.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll actually sharpen your instincts when you're actually performing on stage. It's not so much that you're getting privileged information where you have to react authentically to something very new or unknown, because it's really about their human behavior that you're supposed to be paying attention to. Not the dialogue is secondary. That the dialogue is for the audience. And that's about it. Everything else far and in between is you guys working off of each other.
Yeah, your actions, your inner monologue, what's going inside your head at the time, all that's yours, in between the lines. And then they'll get up there, not you guys, because you guys did some great work, but they'll get up on stage and then all of a sudden they're stiff and trying to think of a line. And I'm like, try not to think of the line. Don't worry about the line. Forget it. You know how you're going to answer that person. You've read the scene a million times. You've seen it, I mean, come on. Don't think about the line, And if you learn your lines in like monotone, it's great, because then you find out all the information about the character before you decide how something's gonna come out. You don't want that. You don't want to decide.
You don't want to rehearse how you're gonna say it. Then it's not as authentic.
No, don't.
Is it the Meisner technique does that?
No.
I don't get that. Yeah,
no, hold on a second. I'm a Meisner student. Wait a minute. No. There's nothing.
No, I like Meisner stuff too. I've read a lot about it, but I'm mostly
there's nothing premeditated. Like, don't do anything premeditated. You don't want to like anticipate what you're gonna do, because then you're actually performing. There's an authentic ensemble thing that's happening, especially on I'm thinking more of like on the theater, like in theater.
Right.
If there's something very specific between you and the director where it has to be premeditated, like the only thing that comes to mind, but how to get there is literally on the actor. I heard, and like, I don't know if it was in the bonus features or like some sort of like years later interview where Tom Hanks had to cry in Saving Private Ryan. And there's a lot going on, but there was a scene where the next day after, all the shit happened and everything, at least in the script, but even in filmmaking, you're working on different scenes all around, not chronological to the story half the time. And that's where things get very complicated.
That's why you need to know what's going on in every scene before you even do it.
That's where premeditation comes into play, because you got to play the scene now. And the director, in this case, I remember he just gave Tom Hanks a heads up. Steven Spielberg gave him a heads up saying, tomorrow you got to cry. Okay. So I think every actor, there's always a trigger to actually get you to that emotional state that matches what the character is going through, that parallels the entire circumstance. So there's a lot of information you really got to take in and find out.
But it's all through the action, you can't sit there and try to get yourself to all worked up, or you won't.
No, you can't. You can't be in your head. You know, you could write things out. You could actually approach it. I'm sure there's techniques, but journaling, maybe.
Yeah, there's
like write a poem to yourself, or like literally write a note that you're about to die, or it can even I'm not going to say suicide note, but literally something that triggers you. And
there's no guarantee that it's going to work, that you're going to cry if you need to cry. There's no guarantee, Stanislavski tried to guarantee it by giving you sense memory to use and stuff, and that does help. But it helps because you're thinking about it and stuff, and it can help you get there where you even feel it. And even if tears don't come that day, you're still feeling the emotion. and that's okay. As soon as you let that happen, it's going to happen. You know what I mean? As soon as you let go of it's not going to happen, it's going to happen. That's what I've learned. It's
Usually
just
comes a
like,
couple days later, all of a sudden.
yeah,
It's like,
it's
damn
just
it.
like when you hug somebody, and it's like, you're fine. You're trying to keep it together. Like some guy just broke up with you or some girl just broke up with you guys or whatever, and you're trying to keep it together, and you see a friend of yours, and all of a sudden you just hug her, and as soon as you hug your friend, tears just start coming out like crazy. You can't hold it back anymore.
Yeah.
Why? Because you're feeling that warmth to let it go. And that's in acting too. We have to do it. We have to do that too. It's just feel it. Let it happen. Don't make it happen and let it happen. That's another thing. Okay, I better go because I'm getting in teacher mode.
Thank you so much for coming, Elizabeth. Congratulations on the film, and we'll be seeing you again soon.
Okay, I just want to hear Douglas. So
sure.
Oh, no,
buddy, you got to bring us home.
Douglas.
So, what's the right words at the right time? Because if you haven't been given the right words at the right time, are there any words of your own that you would like to share for others?
Well, I guess, okay. It's not the right words. It was I guess just the right thing at the right time. I was it was like my freshman year of college, and I was doing this exercise, an acting exercise, actually for like emotional acting and trying to help us reach that point. And I remember my professor, he worked with me for like an hour because I just couldn't. I couldn't get to a point. And he finally had, I remember he had like 5 kids physically restrain me and like hold me back. And at one point I just got so frustrated that I just kind of like said it, and he looked at me and he goes, "Now that's an actor." And when he said that to me, I was like, I get it. I was like, I understand. I understand kind of what you're trying to teach me here. Because I just gotten so frustrated. I was like, oh my God. Because I had like 4 or 5 people physically like holding me back. And I was like, oh my God. So that was something that just kind of stuck with me for a while. And it's not really the right words, but it's the right feeling in a sense of how it should be. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Wow, man.
Yeah. I don't know. That's it.
No, dude, that's fine. No, dude, that's fine. No, I mean,
I don't know.
No, dude, I get it. And like I had a similar experience where like my teacher, I was learning it wasn't Uta Hagen at the time. At that point, it was Chekhov technique. A lot of that stuff. That's like, that type of work is very good for the very good for the stage in my experience. Like there's 100 techniques, and I did like that one for at least the stage. But I remember at one point my teacher had asked me to do something similar, and I had a football background, and I guess maybe he was just trying to connect the two different dudes, the athlete and the actor. I think so. He asked me just very in his own way, push me across the fucking room. And I'm like, what do you mean? Push me across, or the stage, push me across the stage. And I'm like, all right. So like, of course I'm like, I'm big compared to him, So I'm like, you got it. That's not what he asked me to do. He asked me literally to get him on the other side of the room. So he was just trying to like teach me to like embody that in order to get it out, know, and then and now connect that bridge now to the dialogue in my voice. And I sent him fucking flying across the room. No, like I thought I heard him. He was fine. No, and he takes samurai classes, so he kind of like he could fall pretty well. But I did. I sent him across the room. I know, like guys, I don't know what you're gonna like, how you feel like in the next 15 years when shit gets crazy, but I mean, good, like God bless you on your accomplishments so far. Army Man, I think, is a great start, to much future accomplishments, and you just got to stick with it and keep it about the work, because you are providing a service for somebody that you haven't met, and that's the beauty of cinema. And I think we kind of we discovered that today on the impact that film does have on people.
Yeah.
Make it about always make it about the story. The story over the storyteller is way more important. But you guys are actually pretty fucking good. Just saying.
Bye.
I always end the show saying this. Thank you so much for coming on the AFC podcast. And wherever you go, whatever you do, always remember to never forget the community, creativity, and find the joy in every single thing you do. All right.
Thank you.
Ooh, that was good.
For now, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
My pleasure to have you guys back on the show.
Bye-bye.